Testing, testing. I don't know what's going on, but the frame rate looks like trash on YouTube and on Twitch. So we're just gonna go with it. I don't know. So I haven't really streamed anything in a long time, but what I'm doing here is I'm just working on some internal. I have my replacement for kind of like SDL, GLFW, all that kind of stuff. I just made my own replacement for it because I don't want to deal with them. And I'm just calling it PRL, which is Programming Rainbow Library. And it's basically right now I have a 6 backends, I guess. So you need to do a couple different things. You need to be able to open a window and get input from keyboard, mice, and be able to scale the window and close the window and maximize, minimize, full screen, all this kind of stuff. This is all kind of either handled through xlib or xcb or Wayland, or SDL2 has its own internal implementations of these that are going to rely on all those as well. SDL3 again has them. GLFW again has those. Hold on. All right. So yeah, so what I've done is I've made my own kind of way to I made my own window setup for xlib, made also another one for xcb, made one for Wayland. And then since I've done all that work, I just kind of did wrappers around SDL2, 3, and GLFW as well. And they all work to varying amounts. GLFW actually is the kind of the worst of all of them. It does not support Wayland very well at all. So the native xlib, xcb, and Wayland, they work pretty well. Other than Wayland is just terrible, but that's Wayland is terrible. If anybody tells you Wayland's not terrible, they probably are not using Wayland. But you can't do basic things in Wayland. It's just a feature, not a bug. So that's a problem across anything being done in Wayland. But they all work pretty good. GLFW lacks the ability to set a window icon. And also, you cannot get keyboard input correctly from GLFW. That's just a feature of GLFW. What I mean is, if I press the A button, I want the A key to be, I want it to register that I pressed the A key. Now, that sounds like it should make sense, but if I was using a keyboard from a different country or with a different localization or different language, what is printed on the A key may not show up as an A key. So if I was like pressing the key labeled A for an English keyboard or an American or a British keyboard, GLFW will say I pressed the A key. And SDL and SDL2 and 3 will also say that. But like, say I'm using a French keyboard and I press the key that's labeled A, I may get a different key entirely that the system thinks I pressed because it hasn't run through its translation of whatever it should be. So basically, I've done this in Xlib, XCB, and Wayland. So like, I don't care what country you're in or whatever. If you press A, I want it to be A, and I don't care about anything else. So, and SDL2 and 3 also have done that translation. So whenever you start up, it immediately looks at whatever you're doing, whatever system you're on, and translates that. So whenever you press the key that's labeled, it says that's the key. GLFW does not have that ability. And GLFW cannot set the icon, I guess. So that's pretty weird for Wayland. Maybe it can in Xlib, so we'll see that. Let's go look real quick. So what I do is I just compile it for one of those backends. So there's other stuff going on here too. There's my own. This is using OpenGL. So Xlib, XCB, Wayland are all using EGL because they're Linux, which is going to use OpenGL. SDL2 and 3 use their own internal implementation depending on what platform you're doing it on, and GLFW as well. So they're still using OpenGL, but they're not using EGL to do OpenGL. I'm not using any kind of, what do you call this, extension wrangler, because like you can use Glue or Glad to load the OpenGL extension or OpenGL function function pointers. Instead, I just wrote my own because I didn't want to deal with Glue. Is pretty simple. Glad is way too complicated, and they say it's modern, and all you're doing is loading function pointers. So you don't need any of that. So I literally just did my own thing, and it's very simple. And if you compile it on Mac, you don't even need that because it already has it on Mac. I don't know about Windows because I don't use Windows, but. And let's see what else. So I've made a 2D render and a 3D render. 2D can load surfaces and textures. The 3D one has a simple 3D model loader that is, I just wrote it from scratch. So it doesn't have materials on it and stuff. So it's kind of like not really advanced. But I kind of have all these kind of things in there. For font rendering, so I did go down a rabbit hole. I was trying to reverse engineer Sean Barrett's TrueType. So what I ended up doing is putting that on hold because it was taking a lot of time, and I was kind of getting frustrated not seeing any progress. So what I just did is took his library and wrapped it. And then at a later date, I will add in my own kind of re-implementation of his library or his header, his single header file, if you know who Sean Barrett is and his single header files. So I'm using that for font rendering right here, which is literally just his library, or his header library, and then my implementation on top of that. but I will have my own different version at some point because I had to disable a lot of checks to get his thing to run because I run a very strict compiler, and he is probably much better programmer than me, but I program in a very different way than he programs. So I don't want to say he's wrong because he's probably just vastly more knowledgeable than me, but I do program in a very different way. So I had a hard time getting his header library to compile because I had to disable. Like, let's look at this here. Let's see. So, so this is just his header, so I don't need to show that. But basically, I have my own little what a font is, and this is going to be. This is for something else. This is just like a buffer that I can index into. I'm not sure what I'm using that for right now here. It's probably going through when I have a string, going through each character of the string. But right here, I have to basically push all my what my makefile kind of has all this kind of very strict stuff going on here, and none of this will allow his header to compile. So I kind of push all my stuff, so it kind of stores my strict stuff, and then I got to disable a whole bunch of my strict stuff to let his header work, and then repop my strict stuff back on because I don't want to disable all my strict stuff, but I disable it just for his header file. So what I'm working on here is like I was just kind of explaining, I have my own version of kind of I have my own game library that I've been working on. And what I was going to work on today is I in the past I had a bash, basically a what I called shell game, which allows you to write games in bash and then would run a SDL2 server. So your game logic is all scripted in bash, but it's running C code basically. And so I have this already in place, but I'm taking it from SDL2 version. I think I had an SDL3 version too, but I was really upset with SDL3, so I just stopped that. And I made my own library instead. But I'm going to convert that over to my library. But there's a lot more work happening than just that because I'm not. I'm using my own string views. So I haven't. So I have done projects in Rust, but it was probably like 2 years ago, and I never did any public stuff. So on one of my GitHubs, I was doing the same project over and over again in a bunch of different languages. And I did it in JavaScript as well and Rust, and then I never showed anybody the JavaScript and Rust versions because I don't. For one, JavaScript I really hate the language. I think it's an absolutely dumpster fire of a language. Rust, I wasn't confident enough with that. Specifically, why I didn't do Rust is because I wasn't there yet. I didn't have enough knowledge, and I didn't want to tell other people how to use Rust when I didn't really know what I was doing. I did get projects working in Rust. I also didn't really enjoy using Rust. I can see why the benefits of Rust and why people want to use it, but I'm still in a learning phase, and I prefer to learn on C. Um, C is a simpler thing. Nothing's hidden from me, so I get to learn what I'm doing, and I think it's a better learning language, C, than Rust. So I don't use Rust right now. In the future, I may use Rust, but I don't use it. I don't know why my screen is flashing either. This is great. Everything's fine. So normally I'm using Wayland, but right now I'm actually streaming in X11, but I can't remember the things that I needed to do to X11 before to make it work on my laptop because I'm running the Strix, what is it, Halo or what? The one with the 370, the HX 370 in it in the laptop. It really doesn't like it, so it apparently is thinking it doesn't want to keep working correctly. I'm not really sure. My screen keeps turning on and off now. so this is probably going to end badly. Yep. Okay. I don't know why. I don't know if you're catching it on the stream, but my screen is freaking out now. It was all fine for the last 15 minutes, but now it's not happy. This is why I haven't been streaming. So I did install OBS, but I don't know how to use OBS. Um, hmm. Okay. I'm hoping this random screen thing will fix itself, but it doesn't look like it's fixing itself. I'm going to turn off my screen for a second. So this is going to telling me to log in. Oh, great. Oh, network problems. Cool, cool. Did I lose Twitch? Looks like I lost both of them, even though, no, I didn't lose Twitch. So YouTube, I lost YouTube. Yeah, there's some boot flags that you need. Okay, so it's yeah, the YouTube is maybe here still. Yeah. So there's some boot flags that I need to use. Reload. To use X11, and I haven't done it since my laptop broke again. It's broken several times and it's been repaired. If it breaks again, I don't have warranty anymore, so it's just done. But YouTube is not receiving video. Cool. Huh. Says YouTube's not receiving video. Poor? Why is my connection poor? That. Maybe that will fix it. It says excellent, but it's not showing. So I have this weird setup too. If anybody can actually hear me right now, I'm actually using a TV, but the TV is broken into 4 quadrants or whatever, you know what I mean? And so you're seeing the top left of my TV, and I have it says excellent. Is it going to work though? And the right side, I have 2 windows open so I can look at YouTube and Twitch, which don't appear to be working. Or maybe they do, I don't know. Like, show me the live stream. But, and then I got the box in the box here on YouTube. It's like telling me not the right picture or something like that. It took me about an hour to log into Twitch. I don't know what was stopping me from logging in, but it was not liking, like it doesn't like my browser apparently. But I think it does that to everybody. And I keep reloading. Let me just show you YouTube right here. If anybody could see this, I don't know what's going on. This is YouTube. Show me the stream, bro. I just want to see the active stream so I know it's working. It's like connecting. What is it? It says excellent, it says good. Why isn't it just showing me the stream? Just show me the stream. I have to press play, go live. Why is it a little box? Why is it small? What's happening? Oh, you need to click the timeline at the end. Yeah, I did that, but like, why is the earlier it was like this too? And I asked the AI, and the AI was like, "Oh, it doesn't understand your aspect ratio or something like that." And so it had me put in a thing saying 1 pixel was 1 pixel or whatever, and that sorted it. Except I just restarted it. Now it's doing it again, where this is too small. This picture is not the picture that I should be seeing. Twitch looks fine. Let me show you over here. So it looks correct here. This looks fine. I don't know what YouTube is like, showing it the wrong. Break it out here. Not full screen. I thought there was a breakout. No, that's not what I wanted. Yeah, annoying. Okay, so if it looks normal for you on YouTube, I'm just gonna keep going because I just wanted to do something today, and like it's gonna be growing pains. That. So yeah, so what I have here is basically I have my own version of a way to run a 2D game, or potentially in the future a 3D game. I can run some 3D stuff, but it's pretty unfinished. And so yeah, so what I have here is I kind of broke my code up into modules, because when I compile this, which let me show you. So this is the me compiling the PRL, which is the Programming Rainbow Library. And I don't need to use Clang. I was just making sure Clang wouldn't complain, because GCC is what I use. But I know Clang's sometimes a little more strict, so I wanted to make sure all of my code compiles without complaining. So right now, since I'm in X Windows, I need to compile it for either XCB, XLib, or GLFW, SDL2, SDL3. I can't use the Wayland one because I'm in X Windows right now. So I compile it, good to go. The corner. So it's going to be right here, this lib program. So when I go to compile one of my other games like Minesweeper or Asteroids, it's going to link against that. So let's try Asteroids. It's already compiled. Hold on one second. So sorry. So if I compile Asteroids, it's already been compiled, but I do this all the time because I'm always messing with something. So I'm always just recompiling it. So this is just a line that's compiling it clean, like getting rid of the old one, compiling a new version, and debug and running it. So we'll do that. And it's coming out full screen by default. So I'm just gonna window it, So this is my Asteroids game running. And this is what was it, the XCB version. So this is a kind of basic thing. Basically, just getting this font to render here was, I had to figure out Sean Barrett's header library, because super complicated with the font. I'm not sure if you guys hear the audio or not. It's just some crashing sounds and some laser sounds. And if you when you make a window, if you allow it to be resizable, which I maybe is the default, I can't remember. you can just resize it. It doesn't care, you know, like it'll just do whatever it's meant to be doing, you know. So this one I can see, I can maximize, I can minimize. So maximize mean it'll go full screen with the thing. And also, I just make it all the stuff when you click full screen, it does border list. You know, it doesn't change the resolution of your monitor. It just takes the render and maximizes the render, but keeps it in the same aspect ratio and puts bars where needed. If that makes sense. Like here, you can see there's bars right here on the top and the bottom. This is just by default. So my library doesn't do anything special to spin it up. You just create a window. And depending on what backend you compile, that it'll do whatever it needs to do. So let's just look at that real quick. This stuff. So that was the asteroids right here. So the source code for this, like main H, is going to pull in my header library, just one of them that pulls in everything it needs to pull in. All this stuff, other stuff is just kind of, you know, the title, the resolution to use, this kind of, you know, just for game purposes, it was been the same if it's STL or anything else. So to initialize the game, hold on one second. So I do have some initializing of audio, which kind of thrown me. I haven't worked with the audio part. I'm using OpenAL for my audio right now. Yeah, I have no idea. It's on Twitch as well. So if it looks jacked up on YouTube, maybe Twitch, or I can bump restart it here in the terminal, like here, right here, you know, and maybe it'll fix itself because it's magic. I don't know. So I'm gonna quit it. So I cycled the script. Maybe it's fixed it. I don't know. Yeah, it did fix it. So that's not crazy. It looks like it's correct in YouTube now. I don't know. I don't know. So so for the audio part of the library, I'm using OpenAL right now. I don't really have anything to. I'm not going to change that. I'm probably just going to keep using OpenAL. And I think I am using a library to load audio files, but that's the only one I'm using. I'm not using a library anywhere else. So when I load images, I just wrote my own image loader. And I'm not even using compressed images. I'm using TGA images, which are just directly pixel mapping. I don't even have the run length encoder version of it, which I am going to do later. But basically, everything you see here. There's no libraries involved besides Sean Barrett's, because font is hard, and OpenAL, because that's really platform thing. You know, I'm not going to be writing direct audio, but everything else is kind of like direct. There's no OpenGL loader library. There's none of that stuff. So there is this starting up the audio here. It looks like. Let's just go and look at this. So that's in the header. So I have the header separate from the source code. Oh, okay, yeah, because I need to get some kind of context for the device. So for that, I am doing that in it. So we do have this thing going on here, but nothing else. You literally just make a window. You're like, I make a window, and these guys right here are just kind of options if you want VSync on or not. And that will that'll lock my frame rate to the VSync instead, or you can manually do the frame rate. If I want full screen maximized or resizable, you don't need to turn all these on or not. So yeah, if you don't do this, the window won't be resizable. What do you mean by the API calls from the command line? Oh yeah, sorry. I'm talking about two different things here. So one, this asteroids PRL here right here. This is a C implementation of the asteroids game, and it's using my programming rainbow library, which is like a library for sound, for making a window, for drawing 2D graphics, for even for 3D. So it's using that. And then down here, I have another one. I have Minesweeper down here. Same story. It's in C, but it's using my own library. And what I was going to be working on today was where is it? This was me compiling it for Mac. I'm seeing what I needed to change to get it running on Mac. So I have this right here, and this is not functioning right now. This is in a broken state. What it is it's the SDL version that I had before of the shell game, which uses Bash. So it runs a kind of a server, and you run your game logic in Bash, and then it kind of talks to the server. So it's like a two-part thing. And I was going to move that over, but I'm going to change a lot of stuff because I'm not going to be dealing with C strings. I have my own my string view that I've put into my programming library. And so a lot of stuff is broken there. That's what I was going to work on today, but I was just kind of running through and showing different things. So yeah, let's see if I can just show you the SDL2 version of this shell game thing, so you can kind of get an idea. So I'm just going to exit this real quick, and I'll show you what it looked like when it was in SDL2. So I had a neural network. I'm not sure if everybody is familiar with this stuff, but I was just library. So the bash the bash thing that is separate, this kind of bash server thing, this was set up for it can use bash or ZSH. So I tested it on a Mac as well, since my son has a Mac, and it works on both of those. Which there was kind of workarounds and different things that I needed to do, but it works on bash and ZSH. So I don't know if it works on like all POSIX and stuff like that, because I do like arrays and certain things. You're kind of hitting edge cases, but let's just show what this is. So is this built? Is this compiled? I can't remember how I compiled this thing now. So it's going to be these two. Looks like it's already compiled. I don't need the client. The client is an offshoot. Okay, so let's look into examples. And this would be like how it would, this is what it would look like right here. So this would be a bash thing. And let me just, so it's asking you initially what way you want to run this, because I designed this to be able to take, there's a way that you need to talk from bash to a persistent server that's kind of running this SDL engine. So I programmed in like 5 different backends to be able to do this, because I didn't know which one would work, and I was testing all these out. So this is just a way for you to choose which backend you want to use. And then this is just straight up normal bash. So you get to choose what you want your width and height and everything to be. These are not specific to the C library, anything. This is just game logic and bash. And more variables, global variables. And kind of this is the way I was dealing with being able to get, like, you need to know what keys were pressed and everything else. So I need to talk back and forth between this C server and bash. And the best way is to send a string with all the stuff I want, and then it's going to send me back an array of all those answers. So I can say, hey, you know what? I want to know if escape 1, 2, 3, 4, or space, if any of those are pressed. And it's going to send me back an array with the answer to all of those. So this is me just kind of setting that up, because your game may want totally different letters. You know, it's whatever is capable of the system is capable of doing. You could put in 100 different things here, or just one. It doesn't matter, or nothing. You know. And this is if something was pressed. This is if something's held down. This is just game logic and bash. Send in an array. It means like non-POSIX. So I don't know if it's POSIX or not. It's bash and ZSH. So you can do arrays in bash. So, but I don't know the POSIX. You know, I'm not an expert. But this is all everything I'm doing in this bash script here is bash. It's not third party. I'm not calling anything that's not like a tool inside of bash. So there's no like calling of outside like terminal commands or anything like that. I'm not doing anything like that because that would slow things down and kind of out of the point of it. This is just a way for me to enable, disable. So all the commands look like this. This is what they do. This is shell game command, and I'm going to say get shell game FPS. It's been a while since I've done this. It's been like a year or maybe 6 months or something. Because I went down a rabbit hole of building my own library, so I haven't been messing with the bash stuff in a while. So then this is a command that would go to, and let's see if I have a. So this is where it's what is. I don't know how to explain this very well. So you're going to have a server, and you need a way to talk to the server. So one of the ways is like this pipe one. This is going to set up to be able to speak back and forth between bash and the server using a pipe, using a is it a Unix pipe? So this all sets that up for you. This is not part of your game. This is like something I set up. Send back a string instead. It would be POSIX. Yeah, I do send back a string, but I use the string. I use the string as an array. Yeah, I'm definitely sending a string back. So I send a string to the C server. The C server goes through that string, and that was one of the things I was going to change because I was going through it with the like the tokenizing of the string, and I don't like the C way to tokenize, so I made my own string view thing, and I'm going to change all that. But this version is using the tokenizing of the string, and then when I get my answer, I send it back as, again, it depends. Sometimes you want a single answer back, and sometimes you want an array back, but that array is actually a string. But Bash will see it. Bash or ZSH will use it as an array, but it's just a string. So yeah, I'm sending strings back and forth. And so what this is doing, this file doing right here, is setting up the communication style if I wanted to use the pipe way. And there's the client method, there is a shared memory method, there is a socket method, and just capturing the standard in and out, which sounds like a terrible idea, but it does actually work. So this is kind of just setting up the ways to communicate, and these are the example programs. Now, it's been a very long time since I did this, so let's see if I can just, can't remember if I have to call it from, if I have any of these. Oops. So Okay, here we go. So I'm just seeing how I was running it before. So we saw when we were looking at this one here at the top, it was this thing right here. So it's ask, I'm telling it which way I want it to communicate, pipe or what. So let's look at this right here. So now when I do this, it's going to spin up the C server. Yeah. Um, Game of Life is not a quick one. So, because that's a very hard thing to do. Okay. So, yeah, and it works. So this is that I think it's running 200 different sprites, and I can't remember if I can spin them. Yeah, if I hit the right arrow key or the left arrow key, they spin to the right, spin to the left. Now, I'm sorry that if you're watching it looks like low frame rate. It's actually not low frame rate. It's something to do with the way I'm capturing with FFmpeg. Something's not right, so it may look really poor to you, but it's very smooth on my screen. And let's see if I can get the FPS. I can't remember. Oops, not that one. Yeah, there we go. So this thing's running at 50 FPS. And let's see if I can do anything else. I can't remember what options I have in here. Oh, okay. So I can change it to yellow. That's a different sprite, and to white, and maybe a snowman. Yeah. And it actually was loading, like, I believe it was loading a snowman like 200 times, not using the same image. Actually, each of them loading in. So there was a little hiccup there. You wouldn't have to program it that way. You could reference the same one over and over again, I think. But it was just me seeing if things work. So, like, what other ones we have? Beginner's guide. So if you've seen my other videos with the beginner's guide, here is one for this bash. If I could spell. And so this is the the same thing, beginner's guide, and you can press, and I'm not sure if there's sound on this one or if I'm not hearing the sound. There should be sound. And can I resize it? Yeah. So I implemented this kind of an SDL where it's resizing like this, but it would be way better in my library now using OpenGL. It's much smoother. And you see there's an icon loaded up here in the top left-hand corner and everything else. So you can do everything, and it's just in Bash. This whole thing is programmed in Bash. See here, the Yellow Snow game. And I have a Yellow Snow game that runs AI. Does that mean... So I can't see why you wouldn't be able to use SSH, but I would assume it would cause major slowdown, because this is truly like the bash is running the logic. The game loop is in bash. So if your bash is slow, the game is slow. If it's fast, right? So there are limitations, like how fast you can run a loop in bash. It's going to be slower than Python and things like that. It is bash. But we'll see here. I'm gonna show you a neural network running in bash. So let's do Yellow Snow. So this is my Yellow Snow game. And I have this bubble text stuff and everything else. Right? And this is really cool. But I have a version of this that has a little neural network that can play itself. And it's running in bash. The neural network is running in bash. And it's not, I don't mean it's running in bash the way the people in Python claim that they're running neural network. They're not. They're using Python to call a C library. I mean, this neural network is written in Bash. It's not calling a C library. For the drawing of the game, it is calling C functions, to draw, or but the neural network is not. The logic is all happening in Bash. Let's see if I can remember how to launch it. So it's just AI. Let's see if I have it in my history. It's been a while. Because I think I need to give it a model and everything else. Okay, yeah, here we go. So I wonder what's the best model to use. Did I lose Twitch altogether? Oh, okay, it's still there. So let's try one of these. So example, now this is the Yellow Snow AI neural network, and see this neural network C15. Let's go look at these. So they're in here. Okay, so some of these say C and some of them say Bash. So I can open up one of these and just show you what it looks like. And that's the weights. Sorry. That's not the network, that's the model, or how would you say it? This is what gets loaded into the network. Yeah. And there's some kind of information in the beginning here about how many, I forget what it is exactly, but it's going to be something like how many, this is an evolutionary network, so how many evolutions it went through. Yeah, it's the weights. It's the what do you call it? The weights and the offset. And basically, it's just a string, and the string is used as an index, which is it begins into an array, right? And just wait 1 second. Sorry about that. So this is some kind of like metadata about how it needs to know how many layers it is, and how the size of each layer is. Also, how many, like when it was trained, how many evolutions it went through, and how many times this one was mutated. So it's some information like that. But the reason why you see these two in Bash and these in C is because I wanted to be able to train this thing in Bash. And you can train this thing in Bash, but it's so slow that when you're trying to figure out how to train it, it's just better to write it in C. So basically what I did is I wrote it in Bash, but I didn't know if it was working right. And I couldn't, see progress fast enough. So I wrote it in C, figured everything out. When I got it working, then I fixed whatever was in Bash, because the Bash one is like, the C one could take, like if I wanted to do a, several hundred generations, it might take like 30 seconds. And the Bash one might take like 2 hours or 3 hours or something. I don't know. So because it's doing it in Bash, and it's very, hard thing for it to do. And I do try to do kind of what's the Bash where you spawn sub shells to do kind of what do you call it? Anyway, let's run one of these and see what it looks like. So let me show you the actual Yellow Snow. So this is the Yellow Snow game. So we have the same thing at the top here. So you can choose a backend. We have some width and height and player offset. These are just constants, variables. This is declaring an array right here. This is the way you can do it in Bash or ZSH. And these are two different. This is an associated array, and this is array. So the associated array, I use it to populate back out, like I said, when I was getting keys and stuff like that. This is just an array that I can index into. So we're making flakes. This is just a function to reset the flakes. And this kind of looks like my C code. Just getting these answers. Now this will be sent to the actual flakes are, remember, they're those are images that are loaded into the C server. So the C server is handling memory management and stuff like that. It says, hey, you want this sprite? I think it's done as a sprite. It's like, you want this sprite? I'm gonna put that in a kind of a sprite buffer. What do you call it? I called it a buffer, like an array, a resizable array. And when you don't want it anymore, you tell you want to delete it. But while it's there, it's there. It's like handling memory for you. Yeah, I do. I do subshells for the. So I could, because I got 24 cores. So for two different things, I do it for the game of life. I do subshells because it's way too hard to run a game of life. It's very easy in C, but it's very hard in Bash. You need to use as many threads as you can, and also for training the network, it needs to be like, you don't because you're going to be you're going to be running hundreds of different versions of the game, and you're going to be running them over and over again. So yeah, it does work. It's not great, but yeah, it does work. So this is all kind of set up stuff, and then this is kind of still setting up. I'm starting shell game right here. I'm getting the set the icon. Okay, so set shell game size. This is setting the width and the height size. Set shell game title. So you kind of see how it is. I send this command in. It's going to parse this as set the title. Now I want a string, and it's going to set that as the string. Here it is setting the image that is going to be the icon. I want it to be resizable. I want it to be the way I want it to be scaled is the kind of the blurry way, I guess. I forget the linear scaling or whatever it is. I'm not sure what this one does. Okay. This is dealing with I do this different in my thing, but this is dealing with the logical render. And this is loading the background image. This is loading the player image. This is setting where the player is. So all this stuff is before the game loop. I'm trying to get to the game loop. We can do bubble text, things like that we did for the score. And here's the game loop. So this is all in Bash again. So we got this forever game loop, and it's going to do this. And this update is going to check to see if you should close, and it's also going to time the game. So it makes, so if you told it, if you pressed X on the window, or you escape or something, you wanted it to close, this is going to shut this down. This is going to shut the server down correctly and shut the script down. Otherwise, it's going to time the game. So if you asked for 60 FPS and it can do 600, it's going to do it at 60. And then I'm just calling my function up here, which gets the key presses. So let's go look at this. Music. So here we go. So this is the thing. I'm telling the server that I want an answer back as an array. So that's why I'm telling it my command is R instead of get, set. And there's also ARR, which means my answer back is going to be an array. That's just telling the server. And it's saying I want keys that are pressed, and I want the escape, the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5, and the space. And then when I get that answer back, it's going to be this, right? So this is coming from, what was it, the pipe server? Let's say all of them will do it, but they're gonna, when they handle a request, this command here, when it's an array, they're gonna have an array back. So this is coming back out of it. Yeah, so here it is. So my press thing is an array, an associated array up here. but I'm using the array answer that I get back from this command here. So this command is going to send that to the server, and it's going to actually get the answer back immediately. It's going to wait for the answer and then push it out into the associated. So when you're down in your game loop, now you can check, was this pressed? Was this pressed? So I run this, and now I can see if this was pressed, I want to quit, right? And this is just bash kind of shortcuts. So I can say that associated array, I can say pressed escape if this is true. With the double ampersand, this will get run. This will say SG quit 0, right? So this only runs if this is true. If this is true, then this runs. If this one is true, if I pressed 1, then I'm going to set full screen. This is a toggle for full screen, and then I call the update function. So you can kind of see all the logic happening here. And there's going to be things about this is if I held down A or D or left or right. Yeah. That's moving the snowman left or right, things like that. So it's not too complicated. It looks like this whole game is 361 lines of code. That's the whole logic for this game that does everything. So this is not the AI version. The AI version is going to look like this. So a lot of this stuff is going to be the exact same. I think it's still getting key inputs, even though you probably don't need them. But somebody here is going to be the actual neural network. And this is it. So the first thing I need to do is know the positions of things to send them into the neural network. Rewrite that for Dash or some. I don't use Dash, so I don't know. This is like I did all this, and I don't know why I did this. This was just like me wondering if it was possible, and then I did it. So I'm going through all the flakes. I have 15 flakes, and yeah, that is right. So I'm going through the 15 flakes, and I'm getting their relative position. And now this is the neural network right here, and it's super simple. It's gonna, this is the first layer. You know you always have a first layer because it's input. And this is going to be however many layers are after that. Oh, no, sorry. Maybe this is all the hidden layers, and then this is the output layer. Because I'd use this, what do you call it? Soft max, or I forget what it's called. These kind of, I need to know if it needs to go left or right or not at all. So I need to look at the output. And that's it though. This is like not complicated, This is it. This is the network. Right here. And for it to work in Bash, you notice that I'm not using floats. So this is an integer neural network because you can't do floats in Bash. I mean, you can call shell programs or that, but that's outside of Bash, and that slows things down and everything else. So there's like this offset going on where I basically multiply and then I divide to pull back in at certain points. Let's see it run. I'm going to call that history thing again to see. And you can see here, this one has 3 or 4 hidden layers. So this is a 32, 16, 8, and a 4. And this is just a 1 layer. This is a 2 layer. And realistically, I'm not an expert at neural networks at all. So these run okay, not great. And I don't really see an improvement running a bigger model or bigger layers. Yeah. But again, I'm not an expert. I just was playing around and seeing if I could learn this stuff. So let's try this one right here, top one. Why not? See what that does. So it's going to pause here and give us some information, and then it should open up the thing. There it is. And now I'm not controlling this. This is doing its own thing. And it's still going. I thought it was going to lose there. And it does a weird thing where it flips back and forth. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but for me on my screen, he is flipping back and forth really fast whenever he stops. His nose twitches back and forth really fast. Because I'm probably seeing this at 100. Well, let's see. What's the? Do I have a frame rate? Oh yeah, this is at 60. And I can't remember if we can unlock the frame rate here and just run it flat out. Oh, that turns off the sound. Oh, there we go. So this thing will run at 330 frames. It looks like 300 plus. And he finally hit a snowman. So he got to score of 73. Or the model that I'm running. So this is letting it run flat out. So there's no I'm disabling the timing, or I'm telling it to, and you see when it actually hit the snowman, it's running up at like 1700 frames a second. That's because it's not running the model right now. It's not running anything else. It's just showing us this blank screen. But if I press space, it'll start again and it'll slow down to like 200, 300. No, it's not tied to the frame rate. So what I did is I unlocked the frame rate and let it run flat out. So if I let my laptop, it runs in a what do you call it? I run in a quiet mode, so like only like 10 watts or something like that. If I were to take it off quiet mode, it'd probably get higher FPS. Or if you ran it on a different machine, you would get higher FPS. But we can lock it back to 60 again. Whoops. Nope. What was the one that? There it is. Is that it? Yeah. So this is running it at 60. This is what it should run at. So yeah, the simulation is, sorry, you were asking if it's tied to the frame rate. So the simulation is tied to um yeah, it is, sorry. It is it's moving when you play the non-AI version, you can run it as fast as you want and the game will still play the same because it uses delta time. But the AI version does not use delta time. It uses a fixed time step. So you are right. The simulation is tied to the frame rate, actually. Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I was confusing myself, but yeah, you are right. It is. I think I'm using 5. It moves 5 pixels. Like the snowman can move 5 pixels every step, and so do the flakes. So, but if you're playing the non AI version, it is not. You can. Let's try it real quick. Let's see if we can run the FPS way. So, see what options we had here. That's sound. That's FPS. Let's look at the source of this and see if it's an option or if I have to manually. This one right here. It's probably in the game loop where it looks at it first. Pause. Display FPS, music, sound, playing. So I think we're just setting it somewhere here. Where is it? Or maybe at the top we put it as a constant. I should have it here, even if it's commented out. Here it is, right here. So the default is 60 FPS, but we can override it. So let's do that. And let's put it at like we don't know how high it can go, so let's just say like 6,000. It's not going to make it up there. Let's see what it can do. And we should see the animation on this one should not be tied to the. Okay, so I'll bring it up here, and which one shows FPS? There it is. It is still saying 60, so that's not good. Not good. That is 6,000, right? Did I save it? Oh, there we go. Maybe I didn't save it last time. So I set it to be 6,000, but it's not going to really do 6,000. But 700, this is a straight up bash loop, and the bash has to send strings over to a C server, and the C server has to send strings back, and it's got to do it every frame, every time there's a request. So you got to think about this. Everything that's happening with these flakes falling, this is happening in bash. So like bash has to tell the C where to draw these things. So I've figured out different clever ways of dealing with this. See the way I did it on this one. So I know the flakes are in an array. What's it called? Just flakes array or something? It's called flakes. So look. For. So we got that. Go next in. Populating them. Not in a loop though. Update all flakes positions with delta time at once. Okay, so there's many different ways. I can literally go through and tell every flake to be at a certain position. But what I've done instead, there's many different options here. But what I've done instead is, I've I'm telling I can tell it to update itself. When I say update, it's gonna move itself by delta time. So I'm gonna basically, this is like a batch thing. If everything needs to move at the same speed, I made myself a thing in Shell Game. Again, you can do them all individually, but instead, to make it simpler, I can send one string and say, you know what, I need to move all 15 of these by this 300 delta time or whatever. It's probably 300. So I can say update. Update means I'm going to use delta time. I'm updating Rex, and I'm updating just the Y of the Rex by whatever velocity is, and it's probably 300. Yes, 300. So it's going to send that string. Where is it? And right here, right here. So right here, this is going to populate out those 15 flakes, and those 15 flakes are an ID. So they're just a number. Like the first flake is 0, the second flake is 1, 2, 3, whatever. It's just an index number for me to reference a flake that is in memory in the C server. So whenever you make a flake, whether it's a sprite or an actual texture image or something like that, it's going to give you back an index number. So in my array of flakes is just 15 index numbers. So in the C server, there is a rect with an index number that is storing its own size and width, location for the X and Y. So I can just say, hey, here's all the indexes. Just I want you to change all those Ys by velocity. And so that's kind of like a shortcut. So I don't have to send 15 commands, which would be 15 times slower. I can send one command. It might be slightly longer, but then on the C server, it updates all 15. Loop over all flakes in the array. So I still got to loop over them in this slow loop. And this is probably checking in to see if I hit the snowman or if I hit the ground to reset, things like that. But you see, this is all happening in bash. There's no funny business happening. I'm not calling anything that is outside of bash, other than the sending commands to the C server. That's definitely outside. Anytime you see this SG command, I'm sending a command to the C server. But kind of math and everything else is happening here. The delta time stuff, though, like I said, you can tell it. I could calculate the positions myself and tell it to be at those positions too, but it'd just be slower. Since the shell game internally already knows it's delta time, why not just say, hey, move things by their delta time? But the version with the AI does not do that. It's either forcing a delta time or ignoring delta time. I can't remember which one, but it's moving by 5 instead of 30 times delta. And let's see. I'll show you let's see if I can show you I want to show, let's look at the AI one again. let's do one of the bash ones. So this is a bash 15 1 and 2. Let's try those. They may not be as smart because I may not have trained them up as far because they took longer to train, But the logic in training the bash ones and the C ones is the exact same. They will get the exact same calculations completely, but the C one will get there faster, so you can do more iterations and more tests and stuff like that. So we got a bash 15 network 1. Let's try that. Right here. Bash 15. So it's telling me I have one layer. The score that the average score of this one was 125 or something like that. One layer, the layer is of size 15. I did 2 trials on this. When I mean 2 trials, I mean 2 trials for each game. And I ran, let's see, how many games were there? Well, I ran 400 generations almost. This particular model in those 400 generations was mutated 144 times. This is telling me the X and Y range. I wish it would tell me how many. Like, I know I did 2 trials, but how many games did I do? I could have been 60 games or 100 games. But this is running off the bash trained one. And it got to 54. And the sound didn't come back. Oh well. So let's see if do we have any training ones? So here is the C trainer. And here's the shell trainer. So I'll train one up real quick and show you what it looks like in the C one, and then we'll do a little bit of the bash, but we won't. It's not practical to. So I'm just going to see what my old command was because I can't remember. Okay, so looks like I was trying a bunch of different things. So I'll do the C trainer. File name means I get to specify a file name. So I'm going to call this, I call this one C network. I specify how many threads I get to use, which I'm using 24 threads. That's how many, logical threads I have in my CPU. This one is layers. So it looks like I'm doing 2 layers. So the way I do layers is each number is a layer. So layer 1 is 15, layer 2 is 15. And population. So there is going to be 240 games. We're going to select the top 160. But when we run these 240 games, we're going to run 2 trials of them. So we're going to run each game 2 times. Let's see what's past that. 4,000 generations. You saw the bash one, it was only like 400 generations. This one says 4,000. Mutation rate, that's going to be like 5%. Mutation range is 5%. I forget the X range and the Y range. I know it's like, oh, this is how far on both sides of the X that it sees flakes. So it doesn't see all the flakes. I only see flakes that are like 80 on either side and negative 240 on the Y. That seemed to be you can change that number, but that seemed to be the sweet spot. Looks like I was doing all of these 4,000. This one's 1,000, 3,000. So let's just try one of these real quick and see. We'll try 1,001. This is a 1 layer. So let's see how long it takes to train this. And I don't think I'm in the folder, so this is not going to work. What I just did. And this is a broken line here. Okay. So it's going to show me the information, then it's going to start training. There it goes. And you see, this is a generations happening. like the generations are just flying by. We're at generation 300. We're going to 1,000, so we're a third of the way there. Let's see if I can pull up my. So here's my H top. Like it's doing a good job. And almost done. The fitness 28. I'm just wondering if this is not a very good. Okay, so it finished. So you saw how fast that was. I don't think it's probably a good model, but you see, I could do what was it? 1,000 generations of 240 games that are each run twice. So that's 240 games times 2 is 480, and then times 1,000. So it's running that many games, and how many ticks for each game. That's a lot of it's running 240 different models. Do you get what I'm saying? It's gonna make models that have random weights on them, and then it's gonna compete those 240 models. So let's see about the other one. I don't know if we can run the exact same command in with just the bash shell trainer. Let's try that. I'm just going to try this exact same command, but I do not know if that same command will work. Hopefully I wrote it well enough where I am using the same, but maybe it doesn't work that way. Let's find out. Okay, so threads doesn't like that. Let's just try to run bash. See if it gives us some information. Looks like it's doing a default thing. It's gonna just run without me giving it commands. Maybe that's what I did. Maybe I didn't even mess around with parsing anything. I just put default information in. Or is it going to do anything? I don't know. It might be doing something. Let's look at HTOP again. It might just be so slow. It is doing something. Generation 1. Okay. Yeah. Look at my computer is maxed out. Look at that thing fly. It's not even giving me output information. Come on, man. So this is why I would have, and I look at, so I got one layer. I have only not 240, but only 48 games. I'm selecting the top 32, and I am running 2 trials, but only 400 generations. But you can see I've only run 3 generations so far. So 400 generations will take a fair amount of time, and we don't need to see that. Like, you get the idea. It does work, but it's way slower. And I am using my threads. Does it say how many threads I got? It must be doing something automatically to find out how many threads I have. Let's look at the code. I'm gonna cancel this because it's gonna be way too slow. Come on, I want to go over there. So this guy right here. We'll close this. So this is the shell trainer. Yeah, it looks like I'm not even pulling an input. Oh, yeah, I am. Okay. So I had a file name, a layer, population selection, trials, generation. Yeah. I didn't have threads. That's why I was just complaining about threads. And it's got some default stuff going on. Population, yeah. So these are defaults, but I can override them with these. And how did I deal with the... So yeah, this is what I've done here. I've made a function where everything is local inside the function. Yeah, this is going to run the thing, right? But that's going to be called. So what am I doing here? So it looks like I'm making sure any old stuff is gone from the temp. So I'm storing things in temp and the selection as well. And then looping over the generations, getting the PID. Oh, this is, yeah, I remember working on this. I was just like, I just hope this works. So it is, I start a bunch of threads up and then wait for them to finish. Store it and store it. Like I said, I haven't done this in like 6 months. So like for a month, I went crazy on this and then I forgot about it because I'm not sure. Maybe I'll try to release something on Steam that's like Bash. Well, we'll see if I can port all this over. But yeah, it is. This is a Bash multi-threaded, but it's not great. It's not definitely not great. The other thing that I needed to do this kind of thing, I probably did it simpler. Was all of these are super fast except where is it? Game of Life. Game of Life right here. Game of Life is a real problem because you have a 2D, you have a 2D array, and the for each generation, you need to go over every single cell in that 2D array and look at all the things around it. So for each cell, you need to look at the 8 cells that are touching it, and that's slow because you figure, let's run this. So Game of Life, here we go. Here's Game of Life. And this is not perfect either because I again tied the update to the speed of the game, which means when it's running slower, it doesn't take your input correctly. It's not perfect. But let's see if we can get some FPS on this thing. That's not it. There we go. So now it's running at 16 FPS now because it's meant to, because that's the speed at the game's running. So if I slow it down, it'll run at 8 something. Yeah, 8. And it unfortunately is refreshing at 8. So again, your inputs at lower refresh rates are not good. I should have programmed it differently, but anyway. So if you want it to run slower, you're literally slowing down the whole game. What I can do here is I can pause it, and then I could click my mouse here, right? And then unpause it, and that one will blow up. Right? I could see it's not, yeah, there you go. Pause. I can add one here. Did it? Oh, I should speed up the simulation so the input isn't messed up. This is probably as fast as it goes because it is hard for it to do this. So if I want this guy to blow up right here, I could put one here and unpause it, and then it blows up. Let's see if we can make a what is it? That's not right. That's not, well, that won't blow up. I was trying to get the this surfer thing. Let's see if we can blink it. No, that's not it. Clear it. That's not it. How do we clear? Reset. No. What's the? Let's look at the code and find out what's my 1, 2, 3, 4 up down space. So it's one of these. 1 is full screen. 2 is show FPS. 3 is blank. Okay. So let's see if we can do a skimmer. That's not a skimmer. That's that's I can't remember what it looks like. Oh, it's like that. Yeah, yeah. So this guy will fly now, yeah? And there he goes. See if we can speed it up. That's the fastest it can run. So yeah, I can still scale it. But if I try to make there be more boxes, it's just gonna slow down. It's there's so many, the numbers here, it's crazy. Let's see if I'm running this multi as well. So in C this is trivial, but in Bash this becomes very hard. Yeah, look, I'm pegging the CPU pretty good. Like everything's running at 60%, and that is this Bash running. See, I can do a random. Oh, there it is, random, clear, and random. And yeah, so some of these things are hard to do in Bash. Whereas the other ones like Yellow Snow, it's not running multi, it's just running a single thread. Show that again. This one. And see if we can get the FPS up there, and then looks like so this thing is taking a CPU, taking 90%, but it's running at 1600 FPS, right? But it's not running all the all the threads. It's just running a single thread. I only did it with those two different things, with the neural network and with the and when you run Yellow Snow AI version, it's also running single thread, I believe, because it's only running one neural network. But when you train it, you got to run a whole bunch of neural networks. So let's try that. Not the bash one. So it's going to show it for a couple seconds before it pops up. Okay, so let's see if we get FPS. Yes, and we can see it's not even running very much because we're at 60. So let's see if we can unlock the speed. There we go. And now that one goes up, to almost 100%, but it's only a single thread. It's not running multi-thread. So you're not going to kill your CPU by making simple games here. But if you do try to do certain types of things like Game of Life, where you got huge arrays and you got to go over the entire array and it's this massive number, then it's not great. But you could do simple games. You could do like Mario type games and stuff like that. I'm sure it'd be no problem. But yeah, so basically if we look at this code of this stuff, close all this up. Oh, some of these others we got mouse. Okay, so these are different little test ones. Let's just run through them real quick. We did the beginner's guide. Let's do. There's a template one. Just look at that. It's probably just yellow snow or something. Template. We'll say pipe. Okay, so it's literally just a background screen, nothing. So it's just an image. I don't know if it does anything. Cool. There is the test freeing. Oh, this is one where I was loading different images. I was testing if my memory management was working correctly. So so it doesn't look like it did anything here. That's not the point of this one. The point of this one was what was happening in the output. It was saying I told it to load an image and it gave me an index of 0. And I told it to load a new image, which is actually just the same image. It gave me an index of 1. Excuse me, my throat. Then I asked it to free the first image and it set it to -1. So -1 is this is not not an index anymore. And then I tell it to load a new image. Remember, I freed this image right here, back image, the first one, which should be index 0. But then I freed it, set it to -1, but it was originally 0. So that means the 0 index has no image in it right now. So when I load a new image, it went into 0. And then when I load a new image again, it goes into 2 because we only ever got up to 1 before. So this was just me testing if it's working correctly. Just showing how this kind of bash to 2D game system was working. So that's what that was showing. That was just me testing something. And the mouse, testing the mouse. Let's see that. Okay, so this is the mouse, and it's tracking and the buttons. I'm pressing the different buttons, and we've already seen on the game of life that I can click and make a box appear or disappear. You know, it's all fine. It all works. Mouse, sprites. I think I did sprites. Here's text. Now, my capture rate is really janky, so if it looks bad in the video footage you're watching, it's not the way it looks to me. It looks smooth to me. So you might see these words moving around in a slow FPS or something like that, but to me, they're very smooth. Let's see the frame rate. Oh, I remember what I did. So, yes, yeah, there we go. So this is me doing it different ways, me testing out different ways to move it. Remember I said I could calculate everything in bash and then tell the thing, or I could tell them to move by deltas and different things, and there's different ways of sending information. So if I press 1, that's one way of doing things. If I press 2, slightly different. It speeds up the FPS a little bit, but I switch my logic in the bash loop. If I press 3, the logic switched again and it speeds up a little bit more. If I press 4, it's sped up again. And I'm not telling the FPS to speed up. I'm sending the information in a different way. So I'm getting rid of loops that might be looping over 200 things and instead sending an array or something. So this one slows down because I'm actually changing the text every single frame by its movement. So that's pretty slow. And now I add some of the optimizations on that to see how good I could get it. And I get it up to like 46. But remember, this is 200 different objects all moving differently with different colors. And it's creating these textures with these numbers on them every single frame. So it's not so quick. And then we're spinning, we can spin around and all this stuff. Yeah. So that's just me pushing the limits. And that's running single frame or single thread. And you've seen the AI version. I'll show it again. The neural network running in Bash. Here it is one last time. Looks like this one had 10,000 generations on it. So it looks like it got mutated 5,000 times. It's just one layer, 2 trials a piece. And I'm not sure. I didn't put in the metadata how many. Probably 240. How many different? How big the pool was. And let's see. And it's running at 60. And as you've seen before, if we this is as fast as it can run, and this is running single threaded. So this is it got to 67 there before it hit a yellow snowflake. It looks like 28 that time. That's not very good. It should like get 100 and something or something like that. It usually can. And I'm sure there's some bias in it because it always wants to go to the left. But again, I'm not an expert in this kind of stuff. It's a very simple neural network. Just and I did have to make it where it can go off the screen and come on the other side. Or otherwise, it would just it would optimize to go to the edge of the screen each time. So that's not great, but it was kind of cool to see that I could build it. And I've also done this previously just in C as a C project, but I programmed it differently for this project actually. Even the C trainer is a different new code and everything else. So you see, sometimes it's not great, but it does what it does. So that is that. So that was my STL2 version, and my screen's freaking out again. It's I'm in X11 right now, so bad times for X11 in this machine. So that's SDL2 code. I don't do any SDL2 code anymore. So I can show Minesweeper. Asteroids. So here's Minesweeper. Now this is not Bash. That was a whole different thing. This is just a straight up C game of the Minesweeper, and it's using my library, my new library. So you can see I can change the size of it, whatever. It's fine. It doesn't care. It's just going to scale however it needs to scale. And let's just end the game real quick. There we go. And we have different themes. We have the original theme and different. These are the Italian themes, and then we have monochrome themes. So we can play this, and let's put on an Italian theme. Maybe go with the I like that one. That one. So this is a pretty, like if you know Minesweeper, this is Minesweeper. So looks like I don't have a good place to go here. Oh. There we go. Okay. So this, that, yeah. Good there. That is one. These are not. See if I can win. Okay, so this is one right here. That means that's not one. And this is not one. And this is not one. So this has to be one. And then I won. And that's how you master Minesweeper. But we have different difficulties. So it's centering it. So we can have bigger. I'm showing you 1/4 of my screen, so it keeps, bring it back. But you can have massive ones, or you can make them more difficult. So I got 48, 64 mines, 80 mines, 96. So it's gonna be lots of mines in here. Whereas here, there'll be less mines. Yeah. And you can go full screen, but if I go full screen, you're only going to see 1/4 of it because of the way I'm recording this video. Yeah, that's that project, and that's just finished. It's just working on my library. The other one is the asteroids one. There we go. I have it where it starts up in full screen, so not the best. And this is asteroids. It's supposed to play some music too, but I haven't sorted out my open audio. I just got it enough to where it was working, and then I moved on because I had so many other things that were not working. So I have to put a little more effort into it. What I would like to do is set this up for Steam and then get a game out for Steam, a simple one, just like a demo thing. Um, but I do have plans for more complex game, which is going to be it's like I don't know how I'm going to do it. If I'm going to do it in stages or what, but like basically I have a 6502 CPU emulated, fully emulated, and it's going to be like you program it. Um, I might start with a lander, kind of lunar lander thing that like you're maybe an entity stuck on a planet that can't do anything, and you have to use some old broken tech, and you basically need to program or fix slightly a 6502 to kind of go get resources or go get other things for you, and it gets more and more complicated, and maybe the other entities will also have them as well, so you might be able to hack into other ones and stuff, but all using like real 6502 code running and using say like fourth or at least initially it will be assembly, but like basic would be good, but you know that's a little bit complicated to get all basic running in there, and like fourth and maybe some others like my simple languages. But that when I say simple, it's very complicated. It was actually difficult for me to get this text because I do this all as one shot. Um, so it would be like sometimes if if one of the numbers was exceeding by a half a pixel or something, it wouldn't get drawn. You know, it was like weird edge cases. So all of this here, I'm not using any libraries to load these images or anything. These images themselves are like super crazy images. I'll show you. So this is my yeah. So the images here, you see PNGs, but I'm not using the PNGs. I'm using these TGAs. And TGA images are basically red green alpha. So if they're just red green alpha with a header file, a header on top, you parse the header, see if it's a type you can read or not, and then you just load in the pixel data into an array. You know, so I have no image loading library. I'm loading it myself. And I saw this from let me look up his video real quick. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen this, but this is where I got the kind of like I was watching different people's videos and I'm like, wait, I should just do this myself. I should just do this other thing myself. So let me pull what did I do? He was talking about one and I didn't do what he did, but the I think it's here. Maybe he was doing this one. I'll just I don't want to play his video, but I'll just skip around a little bit. So he's yeah. So he uses the PPM, yeah, image format, which is just red, green, blue with no alpha. And I was like, well, that's pretty cool, but like I would like alpha too. And I found out TGA is basically like PPM, but it has alpha too. So I just did that one. So I haven't used. I did initially. I think load ppm maybe one time or something, but it since it didn't have the alpha, I didn't want to use it here. Well, I don't want to play this video. Anybody who wants to watch this can kind of like see what he's doing, but it's pretty cool. Pretty good idea. And I was watching somebody else that when I was already kind of like using SDL to do my base layer for like for just the window part, and I was doing everything else myself. And the other person was like, "Why are you doing? Why do people do this? They should just open up the window themselves." So then I was like, "Oh, well, I'm gonna go figure that out now." So I ended up just doing everything myself. So in my where so in here when I go into probably loading images, so I just have this set up right here. This is the header that's on top of these images, these TGA images. And so I just have this struct here, and it needs to be exactly this size. So that's why it's got this funny packed stuff going on. But so I can break it up and get the information. But then all the rest of the information after that is literally just the actual information. So I'm doing some tests and everything else, but then afterwards I'm just pulling the rest of the data, the width and height. And some TGAs can have compression and run like I'm not doing any of that stuff right now. This is just raw TGA files. There's the buffer or the header size, the header length. So I just made my own kind of surface thing, my own idea, which is just a on the CPU array of pixels and some other information. And I'm just going into that header type is 2+5. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm just mem copying to surface pixels, which is just my holder for the pixels from the pixel buffer and the buffer size. So I'm literally just grabbing the direct information right out of the TGA and putting it into my own surface. And then I have a what I call a texture, which is set up for OpenGL, which you know puts it on the GPU and everything like that, just like you would do in any other thing. So I don't have an image loading library at all. I just use this file right here. Just loads images to, let's see how long is this file? It's like 240 lines. I am doing lots of checking, like I check a lot of my lines are boilerplate stuff, I'm making sure the render is a pointer, the path is a pointer, right? But all this stuff is like this is all my code. All my code is calling all other codes of my code, and it's all everything's mine. So like the a different person was talking about like loading GPL, why you need this glue and glad, and I was like, yeah, he's right too. So why do I need that? So I have this GL loader here, and this is just for Linux. You don't need this in Mac, but it's just the function pointers. Like that's all you need. So I just literally put them all down, and then this function runs, and it just sets up the function pointers. That's all it does. Eh, but they made it so like glad is so effing complicated. Why did they do that? I don't know. And I don't even think these are all the functions. I don't need this many functions. I only use like maybe 6 or 10 functions. You don't need all these. I could have just put the function calls I need and nothing else. But this is my GL loader library. It's just like one and done boilerplate stuff. So, well, EGL gets like GL context and stuff, but that's only for Linux, um, Linux stuff. So the input. Oh, the way I deal with input too, I find it really the way that GLFW does input is infuriating. The way GLFW does most stuff is infuriating. It's not written very well. And the way SDL2 and 3 do it, they're very smart people, but it is a little bit frustrating as well. So I just did the thing that I wanted, which was I just want an array. I want an array of whatever key is in the up or down position, which you can get in SDL and you cannot get in GLFW. But I also want an array of whatever's been changed transition from up to down, right? And I want an array of anything that's changed the position from down to up. So just give me 3 arrays already, and I'll just check whatever thing that I want, right? So just give me a pointer to an array, that has the data in it. That's all I want. And that's the fastest thing that you can do. So that's what I kind of do here. So I do have some wrapper functions where you can use a single function to get an answer back. But the easiest thing is just an array. So let's see. I think this is just wrapper function. And I do it for the mouse too. So the mouse, I'm like, give me an array of the state of all the mouse keys. Or did they go from down to up or up to down? That's it. Just give me that. And you see it here. Or the movement. And I just do it for the position of the mouse and the delta of the mouse and the logical position of the mouse, a logical delta. And I just give that information back as an array. So just make it easy. So in SDL, you can do one of those arrays. And my thing, hey, here's an array for everything. Just whatever you want. This array, index it. It's as fast as it can possibly be. You can index it whenever you want. You don't need to make some goofy callback that is just maddening, because if you have to write your callback function, that means you need to code your thing the way I coded it to allow you to write the callback, and it's never going to be right. So you're going to be stuck in Wayland, the way Wayland is, and Wayland is awful. Somebody thinks it's genius the way that they've written Wayland, but it's not. It's not good. They don't know what they're doing. It's not good stuff. Well, let's see the Wayland. The Wayland's so infuriating. Just how Wayland functions and how they wrote it. It's crazy. So you got all these goofy callbacks, all these nonsensical just trash. But the callback needs to be the way they did it. So if their callback is void, you got to make yours be void. Why? Because it's a callback. It's just that means their bad idea now is in your code base too, and you have to follow their bad idea. So I can't make this fail correctly or fail the way I want it to fail if the wrong information was put into it. So what can I do about this? I give myself an error message, but I can't deal with it properly because it's freaking void. Why is it void? So I'm not a fan of callbacks. They just don't work well. Wayland is not good too, because if you want to center a window in Wayland, you just cannot. If you want to resize a window in Wayland, and so it's still centered and not in a totally random position, you just cannot do that. And the reason they give for this is security. And I would be absolutely on board with that. I am 100% backing any security thing that you need to do. But that's not a security thing. You could say, hey, you don't want the entity to know where the window is. Cool story about that. But can't I just tell you to center it for me? You're right. I don't need to know where it is. I don't need to know how big your screen is. Just say hey, window manager, can you go ahead and center that? No, They can't do that. And very recently, you couldn't put an icon. That's why GLFW can't put an icon in Wayland because it's only recent. It's just like everything is like that. It's all broken, half done, half baked. They lean on the excuse of security, but that can only get you so far because it's not security. They're not doing it for security. They're doing it because they wrote it badly. And these callbacks are just not. I don't understand what you're meant to do with it. I don't want this void callback nonsense. I want my code to run, and if it doesn't run, I want it to fail in a safe way or fail in a way that I want it to fail. But when you require callbacks, you're requiring me to write my code the way that you wrote your code, and the way you wrote your code was not good. So now mine has to also be that way. You're forcing it, like it's like a virus, and I don't know what they're doing. I'm not trying to be a fan of X11 or whatever because that's like was a very old idea. But I'm just saying the replacement for it didn't seem like they sorted it out first. They like did a bunch of things half cocked, and then just didn't implement everything you need to implement. You can implement this stuff and also have security in it because the program running it doesn't need to know information about it to do most stuff. Like it's not a security problem that I couldn't put an icon on the window. That's just ridiculous. It's not a security problem that I can't center a window. Let me show you this. This like where is it? So Minesweeper, yeah. Here's Minesweeper, and I think I've done a hack here. Oh wait. No, I'm not in Wayland right now, so I can't show it because it'll actually work here. Yeah. So do you see how when it's over here, it's because it's centered on my screen. But if I was in Wayland right now, what would happen is say this is centered right now. Hopefully it looks a little bit centered. And I say, you know what? I want a bigger screen. It would do this. It would make it bigger this way. And the top left would be in the same position. Or maybe it would be off the screen. And you're like, what the heck? And if you look it up, it's just, no, that's just Wayland. That's just the way Wayland works. And you want to draw like the border, maybe you can, or maybe you can just write a couple thousand lines of code and draw it yourself. If you want to get the position of it so that you can resize it or something like that, they're like, no, you can't. And I understand getting the position as a security thing, but like, what if I just say, hey, keep it in the same position as it was before, wherever it was before, please resize it with the title bar in the same position or something like that. So I don't actually need to know the information, but it still works for a graphical user interface. And they just like did not do that. So I don't know what they're doing, but it's not good and it's not complete and it's not feature complete. But there are like, if you see the Australian neckbeard guy, what's his name, Brody? He's an accelerationist. He just loves it. And I'm like, that's grand. It works for you, but it doesn't work for everybody and it's broken for other people. So when you dismiss them and try to push, push whatever's happening, you're not seeing all the cracks and you clearly don't care about it for other people, which is really frustrating. So writing this terrible code here for Wayland, and I'm sure I'm not doing it the best way possible because it's so bad. It's like you expect the xlib to be bad, and it's okay. The xcb, so it's a little bit. It's like okay, I don't know if it's better. It's a little bit here and there, and then you see the Wayland, and you're like, something's gone wrong here. It's not great. And so you end up just trying things thousands of times. Will it work this time? Oh, maybe it'll work this time. And you just it's not necessarily an error, but things won't work the way you want them to work, and you don't know why. And you just have to continually try like thousands of iterations and putting things in different orders because it's so goofy. And when you have like these callbacks and everything else, you don't know the order that the thing is going to take place in. You don't know how, like when I want to, I had such a hard time. Like I want to make my, like when you make a game using my library, you may say, give me a window. I want a window this size, but I want it to be full screen right now. Okay. So that should be no problem. Make the window, make it full screen. What happens when you come out of full screen? Well, it doesn't know where the window should be. So then it draws it in like the top left hand corner, which is kind of jarring. You're like, well, an amateur wrote this clearly because it looks like junk. And it's not. It's Wayland in your way again. So you're like, you have to instead create the window and then cycle it like over and over again. Tell it to do round trips. So it's really there. The window has really been drawn. You have to do all these massaging and then tell it to be full screen after that instead of just saying, hey, can I have a full screen window? And it's like that for everything. It just doesn't work well. And so frustrating. And so when you see the people that are like hyping this or that, you're like, are you just using it on the surface level? Do you know what you're doing? They don't. I don't think they know what they're doing. But yeah, so it was like xlib was interesting. And then I just did wrappers for the other two. And since GLFW is using Wayland, when I was on Wayland, it's all broken as well, or it's not done. So one of the things that when I was doing let's look at the code that I was actually going to play with. So I was looking to bring that the so I got a whole bunch of code going on here. This is the library code that is that library. And then this is the shell game code. This is not functioning now. This is literally me taking the SDL2 code over here, and I have re-implemented stuff, but there's so much code in here that that I could not compile it definitely. And I've been renaming things and the other stuff like that. But let me show you. See, what was I working on? Parsing something. I just want to remember what the last probably input. Key. Okay. So this is just the header for it. I've changed names around here and stuff like that from the SDL2 version. So now we're going to see a bunch of stuff broken because obviously I'm like halfway through. But originally I would be doing this stir token thing. Enter number of swap. What? I don't want to swap anything. What are you talking about? So I would have been doing a lot of this stuff before. Let's show it better. Where and this is kind of magical because it's got some kind of internal pointer to a string that we don't even know what it is now, and it's crossed function boundaries now, and it's not good, and I don't like this. Also, you're destroying the string when you do this. So you can't get the original string back. So you need to make a duplicate of the original string. And I don't like any of this stuff. So what I've done here is I've implemented, and again, I was seeing this in a couple different people. I'm pretty sure everybody who writes C ends up doing this exact thing. But like TS Soding did this as well, and some other people where they just re-implement like string views. It's in the PRL. Not in here? I've been sick, so my voice is not good. I'm sorry about that. So this is all fun stuff right here. Let's Okay, so the string view right here, this is my string view. So my string view is just a string and a pointer to something in a string, right? And a count. So if you had a string hello world, I could have a string view that is just world, so it'd be pointer to W and a length, and that's the end of it. And there's no what do you call it? This is in Rust, this is like a slice or something. It's a view or a slice, however you want to say it. It's like the memory is not mine, the string is not mine, but I just want to view into it. So I have all these functions to deal with that, so I don't have to do strings anymore. So a string to a string view is literally just the pointer to the string itself and the length of the string, not with the ending 0. And then if I want to go from a string view to string, it's a little bit harder because I got to actually heap allocate memory for this. So I use stir in dupe, and I just take the pointer to whatever part of the string again and the count, and it's going to add a null terminator for me. I don't like this though because now we are heap allocating. The whole purpose of this whole thing is we're not heap allocating anything. So this is the only time we're heap allocating is when we got to go from a string view to an actual string. But I haven't done that in my code anywhere yet. So I don't think I'm going to need that or very rarely need that because the whole point is once I go into string view land, I stay in string view land. So if you've seen the TS Oding video where he does this or some other people's videos, they do the chop, and I did that same thing, the chop left, chop right. And the trimming, I just this will probably be more complicated later, but again, it only needs to do what I need it to do. So it doesn't need to do everything in the world. So I'm getting rid of spaces and tabs, but I could probably put some other stuff in there too. But right now, this is good enough for me. There might be like new line characters or something. I don't know, but for right now, this is good enough. The trim, I'm just trimming both sides now, and then for tokenization, the idea is I send in a string, and this string is going to be mutated. String view, sorry. This string view will be mutated. Okay, so when I say mutated, I don't mean the string, the original C string is mutated. I just mean the string view is mutated, as in the pointer inside that string view may be changed, and the length of the string view may be changed. Well, it probably will be changed. And then I return a string view and I have a delimiter. So this allows me to get a token out. Like if my delimiter is a space, I'm going to chop up words. So I'd get like for hello world, I will send in the string view hello world. I will tell it the delimiter is space. I will get back hello from the return here. And this string view here that was hello world, now the pointer will be at world and with the length for the rest of it. So that's the idea here. But we are not actually changing the string, though. We are just changing the string view. The original string is unmolested or whatever. So this may fail. So what I'm doing here is I'm just making an empty string view in case it does fail. And I am checking this right here. I do this with all my code. I have a pointer here, and the data is the actual pointer into a string. That could be null as well, so I've got to make sure that. And then so if I have any delimiters in the very beginning, like if I was space or if it was a colon or whatever my delimiter is, if I have delimiters up front, I really want to send back the first thing that's an actual token. So I'm going to ignore the upfront delimiters and chop whatever that amount needs to be. So I'm readjusting my string view size. And then I am going to find where the next delimiter is. And so for between those 2 points is going to be my return string view. And then I'm going to chop the string view I sent in down. So the rest is there. So that's pretty cool. For my compare, I can just compare 2 string views really easily. Again, I'm checking the pointer and the data for both of them, make sure they're good to go. And all I have to do is if the counts are not right, then they're not the same. So I can just fail immediately on that. If the counts were the same and the count is 0, well, they're both the same. They're both empty, but they're both the same. So that's going to be true right away. Now, so this is not needed because I did this up here. I must have added this in later. So this is unnecessary because this is checking to see if these are valid pointers, but I've already done this up here. So this is redundant. I was checking it so I wouldn't be sending in a null pointer, but again, I changed this. So now what I'm just going to do is a mem compare, right, and return that if they're the same or not. So if it's a real string against a string view, then I'm going to find out how long that C string was to make a count, and then check that count against the string view count. Again, same thing. If it's 0, they're true. I'm doing this check again, which I don't think I need because I did it up there. And then I can do the same mem compare. I also have one just against a character. So if it's a character, the count must be 1. If it's not 1 or the data is no good, we're sending back false. If it is 1, we're going to look at this first thing and make sure the character is equal. And that's it. For the numbers, it gets more complicated. So what I've done here is I need to turn a string into a uint64 or an unsigned long. So, well, I don't want to call it unsigned long because I don't know what that will be, but I'm just going to use U64. So I know it's a 64-bit unsigned. What I do is first I trim it. So whatever my token was, if I have just some white space on either side of it, I'm just going to get rid of that. And I'm going to, since it's unsigned, I'm going to allow there to be 1 plus at the beginning, only that, and just chop it off. If there's 1 plus, I chop it off. Any other time, a plus, a negative, anything else, that's going to fail it because it's no good. There can only be 1 leading plus because it's an unsigned. And if the count of this is 0, we can't do anything anyway. So we're returning false. We can't get a number out of that. And then I do a bunch of stuff here. I'm basically deciding whether I'm taking each one of the characters and I'm going to take whatever the existing accumulator was and I'm going to multiply it by 10 to move all the characters over to the left. And then I'm going to add the new character to it. So before I multiply it by a 10, I want to make sure I'm not going to overflow the accumulator. So what I do is I have a 1/10 size of the accumulator, whatever the max is, 1/10. And I'm going to see if my current accumulator is bigger than that. If it's bigger than that, I can't multiply it by 10. So that's why I have this 10th up here. And I'm going to check to make sure the accumulator is still smaller than 10th. If it's bigger, we have a failure. Otherwise, I can multiply by 10 and then I can get and we're making sure our character is in fact between 0 and 9. And now I can take whatever that character was, I could subtract 0 from it, and that's going to give me the actual number. I don't know what 0 is in a character, but let's just say it's like 42 or something like that. If 0 is 42, I can just take the character, let's say it's 0, and I can subtract 0 from it, the character 0, which would be 42, and I'll get 0. So if it was like, say, 2, that would be like 44. Yeah, 44. So I would subtract 44 from 42 from 44, and I would get 2, and that would be my character would be 2, if that makes sense. So I'm doing that, and I'm also making sure that adding will not exceed before I add the accumulator. So I'm going to subtract the temporary number I got from a max and make sure the accumulator is not bigger than that. And then I add them together, and I just keep doing that in a loop until I'm done or until I found a character that's not correct. Sorry about that. So I'm very I'm always trying to check. I don't want to be accidentally crashing something or overwriting memory. So I kind of write my C very paranoid in a paranoid manner. So basically what I do is that's going to give me a uint64. So for a uint32, I just wrap the 64 one. I just give myself a temporary number that can be uint64. I call that number, I get that number, and then I see is wait, I got a bug right there. I do have a bug. What? I got a bug. Did I do this on all of them? Two. Yeah. So good thing I'm talking about this because I found my own bug. So I have the 64 one. Where is it? It's right here. So this one turns a string into a 64. So if I didn't want a 64, if I only wanted a 32, well, I'm just going to go ahead and give myself a 64, you know, uint64, and I'm going to call that function. Right? This could fail, then the whole thing fails. But if it not, now I got a temp number. And what I need to do, since I'm looking for a uint32, is I need to make sure that this temp number is not bigger than the uint32 max. So my temp number could be anything. It could be up to a uint64, but I only want a uint32. So I want to fail out if it was bigger than that. If I'm looking for a uint32 and it gives me a bigger number, I can't represent that correctly. So so I'm going to check it. If that's false, I bail out. If not, I cast it and return true. And now I got my number. So that was for a 32, unsigned 32. Unsigned 16 should be the same. It's another bug right here. Unsigned 16. Oh my God, I'm sorry. I didn't realize people were talking. My my YouTube was not scrolled down. So yeah, this is like a little graphics library. It's my own replacement for like SDL, but it could be 3D as well. So I guess like maybe Raylib or something. I'm not sure. I haven't used Raylib, so it's just whatever I need to do with it. So this is I'm just talking about in C how to deal with strings better. So I'm just using a make my own string view library, and this one will be uint8. I need these, and you'll see it in a second why I need these. That was a bug again. That's no good. So for a signed 64 and the I64, it's a little bit more complicated. We need to get the sign bit, and we're only going to look for one negative or positive. Anything other than that, we're going to error out on it. And we're going to go from for the negatives, we're going the minimum for the 10th, or the positives, we're going the 10th is going to be maximum. And we're kind of doing the same idea again here, and then we're going to wrap it again for an I32. We're going to get a 64 and I64, and then we're going to make sure it's not bigger or on the smaller end. For 16, same thing. Yeah, good. And I could still have bugs in here. I haven't used this in anger yet. Yeah. What did you try to build? So when we get to float land, things go sideways because like I tried to ask like an AI, like, how would you do this? And it was just like, oh, you could use this algorithm, but the new GCC compilers use this other algorithm, and I didn't know what those algorithms were. They just gave me names, and I was like, well, isn't a float just like a mantissa and a exponent? You know, isn't it just like held in two separate parts? So I was like, can't I just like go through the string and act like the mantissa is just like a uint or an int, sorry, an int 64 or something like that? And it was like, yeah, you can. You're really thinking like an engineer. It's really, you know, and I'm like, cool story, but I'm not the first person that thought of this, right? I'm like, is this a normal thing or am I going the wrong direction here? And then it proceeded to tell me that like what I was explaining was literally the algorithm that it says that is the high end algorithm now. I don't know. So I don't know, but it was taking me forever. It took me a couple days to think about how to turn turn a string into a float. Now I'm not doing scientific notation here. I just want a normal string that would be a float. So I did anytime I try to do something, I would ask an AI if I have bugs or not. So it did help me find edge cases, but the logic behind this is my own logic. So the idea is I'm going to go through and take each character as a number, but I'm tracking three things. I'm going to track where the decimal is, and there can only be one decimal. So if I get two decimals, I'm failing out. But I got to track where the decimal is, how many digits there are, and how big the mantissa is. Because you could have trailing, you could have leading zeros or whatever, trailing zeros, all this stuff. So you need to know, have you filled up your mantissa yet? So you end up with lots of weird edge cases. So that's why I have all these. I have mantissa, and since I'm doing an F64, which is a double, my mantissa is going to 19 characters. So basically, if I'm over 19, I'm no longer pulling characters. I will still keep going because the decimal may be further than 19. I need to know that. But the decimal could be like 324 characters on, but the mantissa can only be 19. So, yeah. So I'm like, this is how I'm turning the string into a float. I hope it's correct. Yeah. And that's why all the stuff up here I needed, let's go, GG. Whoops. Up here, I need these guys because I don't want to be multiplying by 10 or dividing by 10 in float land because it'll cause it to drift. So what I do is I find out how many powers of 10 I need to go up or down, and then I use a lookup table. And so then I basically wrap the float 32. I use the double and I wrap a float version with the float max or negative float max. And yeah. So the reason why I need all this stuff is when I was when I was talking earlier about, I have two different things going on. I have this shell game thing, which is not that important. It's interesting to me, but it's not that important. I may do something with it or not, but the knowledge I gain from it will help me. Because the other thing I've been doing is trying to write programming languages, and I have a 6502 completely like 100% correct. No code in it, but just that I can simulate the CPU and RAM exactly, even the illegal calls and everything else. So to be able to like parse, to write lexers and parsers and everything else, and syntax highlighters, which are basically like parser driven lexers or whatever, you need to know how to do all this stuff. So like this is helping me one way or the other. I need to be able to turn strings into tokens and everything else. And I've already played around with this a little bit, but the shell game thing kind of gets me there partially too, because if we look at this, we see that I'm tokenizing, and then I am sometimes I need to pull numbers out. Let's see here. Not here, but I don't know why I have all these unrecovered. So all these are got lots of errors because they're not converted over yet. But so I had the string to integer right here. Yeah. So I don't need this function anymore. I already have this set up in my library. String to unsigned long, string to float. But down here when I'm parsing these things, when I'm getting the information from the bash game or whatever, I have all this problem where I need to do all these string compares, which now I can do string view and do it simpler, and I'm not destroying the strings by calling these weird where's that string token functions or it's further down. Still more string compare. Yeah, this stuff is totally different for me now. Um, so when you're doing this kind of goofy stuff right here in C, you're destroying the original string. So then you're duplicating, and you got heap allocation of these words. All my string view stuff, I don't need to do any of that. So I have this action and target and everything else, and I can do that totally differently now. And oh, so I need to get into actual say this right. That's why these are all complaining because it doesn't have SDL to lean on anymore. I that so I'd be doing these things where I'm saying, okay, I got a token here, but is this a float? I need a float answer from this. So that's why I'm all this stuff will don't know why YouTube is being weird. Okay, well, maybe it's back. I'm not sure what's happening. But the yeah. So I was basically I wanted to maybe stream while I was working on some of this stuff, but then I got caught up trying to figure out how to stream again and everything else. So I'm going to be doing a bunch of boilerplate in here, fixing all this stuff. And the way I do, I don't do the way STL did this stuff. Mine is different. I do have equivalent, so mine is ERL E. Yeah. So this is what mine looks like, defined over here in my header. So I have this just enum here and just kind of the common keys. Not everything. It's not perfect again in any way, but like good enough for me. And I do this differently too. Like I said, if anybody was listening earlier, the way I go about this with my game engine thing or game library or whatever we want to call it is I just provide like internally I have an array of basically whatever key state has changed from last frame to this frame. I know if something's went from up to down or down to up or it's just being held down. So I just hold 3 arrays with those states in them. And then I do the same thing for the mouse buttons, and I track the mouse movement also in its logical size because the not just the screen size but the logical size of the render. And I just keep all of those in array, and you can call a wrapper function that asks for a specific thing and get an answer back, or you could just hold the pointer to the array and index it to whatever your heart content and just get the answer in your game. So that's kind of my thing. Like I seen it. SDL does it one time, and everything else they do it the halfway. And GLFW does it in the excruciatingly painful callback nightmare that they've created, which is just like your callback is still running a ring loop. What do you call it? A round robin. It's still a round robin to get that callback anyway. What are you doing? Like, it doesn't matter. So my thing, just like, hey, here's an array. It's an array of what's been pressed, what's been released, what's held. You want it for the mouse too? Here's another array. It's going to give you what's pressed, what's released, what's held. It's going to give you X, Y, like just whatever you want, the thing that you want. It's all there. You can index it as fast as possible. We don't need to monkey around with anything else. So, like when you see the game, let's see. Do I do it here in the input? logical mouse. So this is just going to give you the array. Yeah. Come on. I just want this. Yeah, here we go. Here's my array. So inside the window, now this is opaque. This is an opaque pointer, so you don't see these arrays. Okay. So inside, there is an internal array for the. This is a different thing. This is because I need a translation depending on what your so the A key is always the A key. So I run a translation layer. Um, only at startup, and then it's an index. But this is the key state. So if is it up or down, and it's the whole key array, and this is has it been pressed, has it been released? That's this frame. So you can have a pointer back to this array. You know, and it's same for the button state. The same. So you don't need any kind of goofy logic. You can do whatever the logic in your game that you want to do, write it the way you want it. I'll just give you a pointer to an array, and you can just index it by the key, the SDL key, whatever it is, and you're good to go. I do one for the where is thought I had it for the mouse as well, but okay, yeah, okay. So if the mouse, I have the XY delta X delta Y. So like how much like where the mouse is right now, and also how much it's changed since last update. And then I have logical X and logical Y, because if you want your game to be say 720p, right? And then you make your game full screen on a 4K monitor, well, the game still thinks it's 720p. So the logical X will still be 720p, but your X, you may be at 3000 or something like that, right? Where your logical X position may be only up to like 1200 or 1280 or whatever it is for 720p. So I just give you that. I'm just gonna I just calculate all that, and here you go. Like here's a pointer to index whatever you want out of it. You don't need no goofy logic. It's not, simple stuff. Here's the one for the buttons as well, and these are just to there. So you got a left, right, middle, up and down, wheel, and it's just calculated and handed off to you. So when you see a game like Minesweeper, controls on the ship. So I just have this key state, and this looks very similar to what you would see in SDL. For the ship movement, it's just is it held down? So you don't need anything fancy there. See how I did it in game for the other keys. This is pre new. Should be an update or event. Should close. So this is my wrapper function. So you could do this. This is what I did. I just used the wrapper function, but I could have also just had a pointer and indexed the array to this as well. So get key pressed. I just got a pointer to key pressed and then just indexed it to here, and it would have done the same thing. So I could do it either way, whatever way works for me or works for the person doing it. This is just a wrapper function around the array anyway, so it doesn't matter. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to take a break. I guess next time I will be doing all that. So that's really what I'm going to do next time is finish that shell game stuff. Fix up all that string stuff and use my string view stuff. That's what I've been working on the last couple of days is basically implementing the uint 64, the int 64, and all those other versions. And the float one took me like 2 or 3 days because it's a bit, like there's lots of edge cases and it's a bit complicated when you think about it from different angles. Um, see how well that works. Okay, so I don't know anybody watching. I guess there's like 2 people watching. Thanks for watching, and I guess next time I'll actually be writing code and not explaining all this. Hopefully, I feel like somebody asked me and I should explain what I've been doing because I haven't streamed for like a long time. But I've basically been writing tons of internal stuff, and like I said, I I wrote a 6502 parser and I started writing a language, and then I started writing a game library and different things. And this is a pretty interesting. I have 2D and 3D renders in this thing. See if I can show this. I think I disabled the 3D stuff. I have another asteroid. This one. This is like a test thing. This is not the real proper game. I was just testing a render thing at the time. I think this one. No. Yeah, there's models here, right? Oh yeah, yeah. Okay. So like this one, my make file runs. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Uh, I've changed. So it says C. Oh yeah, yeah. So the the way I load images, I wrote my own function to load TGA images. I don't have a loading library or anything like that. I'm not using any external libraries, but I changed the name of this. So it's no longer called this. It's no longer called load TGA. It's called like get surface from TGA or something like that. So let's go change that real quick. This is in asteroid C. I'm used to looking at the screen much bigger because I use it longer, twice as long as this. So this is a different function. Remember the name of it. I just changed it like a couple days ago. Create A, maybe that's what it's called. Yeah. Okay, that looks good. Did it again. This time it's in bullets. Yeah. So we're gonna have this a couple places. Is it texture or surface? I don't even need this. Hold on. So this here, I can say be before I was loading surfaces and then converting them to textures, but I can still do that as you saw with the last one, but I don't need. I can just do it directly. Load. Is that right? Okay, so I need a render. Then I need path, which is this path here. So this, all this is not, yeah, I think that's right. This is not, this is like a lamer version of the other Asteroids game. It looks the same, but it's not fully functioning. But I was playing around with the 3D model in it. That's why I'm trying to see if I can get it working. So this one, I could have done the same thing. Wait, where did I do it? This one, create surface from TGA, create texture. And then this is going to be render, and this needs to be, then I don't need this. So where else? Player probably. So we're doing the same thing here. This. Okay, let's see if that works. Okay, and we've changed this as well. Wait, where's this? What did I did? Game. Oh, it must be background. I changed the timing as well, the name of the function. Or how it works. So game. We don't I don't need to allocate this. I was like doing it like callocating it, all that stuff before. This doesn't even exist anymore. Because it's just a small struct. It doesn't need to be put on the heap or anything like that. Pretty cool. Oh, I should have grabbed. On. Okay, we have the problem with the update of the timing update. This guy right here. I need to set that up differently. Look at the way. We got delta time, we have update timing. We need pass window in, and we need this timing thing. trying to get rid of the stuff I'm not looking at. Okay, so I just changed this recently. So I got to remember how I did this. I need to set this timing up, but I don't keep allocated anymore. It's just like a little initialize function. Score game reset. Do I have another? Okay, FPS target. Yes, yes. So this is our replacement. It doesn't need to be heap allocated anymore, but we're just initializing it. Now I got rid of it here. I got rid of it, but it must be confusing. Can I get rid of this? I must be looking at the wrong file. This file called DT here. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And right there. So there's the mesh data. Put where's the game free? Where's in it? In it player, in it bullet, probably gonna be like here. But I don't think I called it time. I called it FPS or something. And it's also called GS. State. Oh, I did call it time. Okay. So what did I call the FPS? Where's my FPS target? Max asteroids. Do I not have one? Or did I put it on the other one? Plus 60. Good. Yeah, definitely. It's called timing. Timing. Am I in the wrong file again? I'm not. Okay, so it is timing. It's not Okay, so that is that. Now down here we have to take in window. Is it just called window? Okay, so it's probably update timing. And this is probably address of. Okay. Where else would I plug? Create window. 2 feet arguments. I think we just need a 0 here because it's for flag. Now, and create timing. Did you mean where is this create timing? Don't need that anymore. This one. What is this? Warning use of. I didn't use that. What is that? This is like old stuff that I haven't used. I was just trying to see if I can show some 3D off, but I don't know if I have any of this stuff linked correctly. I got to be doing something wrong here. Planning. I don't know what this is about. So I need to. How did I do it? The other am I using include? That version. This looks good to go. So I'm just gonna make it exactly like the other one. So, but no, it's not some. No, no, no. This take this one. Really is the thing. So there's nothing there. I wonder what I'm doing wrong. Undeclared. Oh, because okay, because I switched because pi is not defined, but that has nothing to do with issues. See, grab whatever. Okay, I don't know why. Maybe because I was compiling it, it's two slightly different versions of GCC. Maybe that was it. Okay, so this looks fine, but I have stuff commented out in this one. Let me close all this stuff. Get back into the this one. Oh, there's my screen again. So the oh, game have some other stuff in here. Nothing. Come on. Here. Set render scale mode. Oh, I am not not the right code. Either one. This. Okay. So we have this camera. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I probably need an input first. We don't need this anymore. Get rid. So we got to render 3D. This is a still. Do I not set it? Oh, yeah, I don't have an icon. At the time, I had no way of doing that probably. But I should be able to now. This, not what I wanted. Okay, so we call it GS here, do we? And is the image called icon? Hopefully that'll work. Let's see. And yes, we get an icon now right there. But what I want is 3D stuff. So I don't need to pull these in anymore. That should come in the main page. Yeah, right there. So I don't need that. The input window. So we have a game free. We're freeing this thing. This. Okay. In game, we're setting up a camera position, a rotation, and update view. Sounds good. And vertex. Okay, so this is cube. We didn't do that. We're loading Suzanne. itself like this. Well, it must be a wrap. Use it for anything? Right. Logging. Oh, I am compatible pointer type. Oh, int. What was I doing before? Oh, we got a cast. I don't know if this is gonna work. Boy, that minus, is that gonna be like a float minus y? And I don't know. I don't like this. Whatever this is. I don't like it. Should the minus be on the other side? That's a. Oh, I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it. We're gonna find out. So we got 2D, again 3D. Yeah, that sounds good. Oh, this is end 2D. Oh, okay, okay, cool, cool. End render. Okay. And this is totally gonna. This is like gonna fall apart. Oh, there we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. It's Suzanne, but my. Oh, I think I can't capture the mouse. I have to capture the mouse so I can. Okay, so it's not totally correct because I'm using the mouse back and forth, but what I really need to do is capture the mouse so I can look with the mouse. So this isn't going to work right now because I have not implemented that with my game engine yet. So this was code that was from SDL2. It's all now using my engine, but the mouse capture is not implemented yet. So before I could like rotate the camera around, now I could do it just a little bit, a tiny little bit. So I can't make it fly up or down or whatever. But anyway, you can see that in fact, what I'm doing is I have a render, a 2D render in the background, and it renders the background, then it finishes. Then I fire up a 3D render, I render Suzanne, I finish that, and then I fire another 2D renderer, and this game is on top of it. Oh, yeah, there we go. So, and it's not the same game. It looks the same, but the code is not the same. It was just like I was just playing around. I wasn't trying to make the game again. I was trying to see if a 2D render would work, if a 3D render would work. Could you combine 2D and 3D? You know, and this texture that or a model or whatever you call it that I've loaded here. This is I don't have a library to load this. This is literally a text object file that I'm parsing by hand and loading with just my own code. That's why I said I have limited 3D capability. If I could capture the mouse or if I bound different keys to point up and down and stuff like that, I could fly around Suzanne and everything. That would be fine. But Suzanne is just a color set. There's no material on this. It's just one model and no material set right now. My 3D render is not advanced enough for that. or my loading of my object is not advanced. Why did it? See, I can by spinning the mouse around. I can do funny by making the mouse go off the screen. I can. Oh, I don't know what I just did. It went away. Oh, there's now I'm above her for some reason by putting the mouse on the screen in different places. It like freaks it out. But yeah, you can see there is a 3D render happening. Um, and what's happening? Where is it? So this is how I'm drawing the game. I'm saying clear the screen. I'm saying, okay, I'm going to begin 2D rendering, and I give it a color to clear it. You don't have to do that. But it is important to begin the 2D rendering. This is the way I have it set up. So I begin it. I start rendering my 2D stuff, which is just the background. And then I say end. Um, and then what I do is I begin a 3D render because I'm setting up OpenGL differently. Setting up for 3D rendering, I'm going to render this model. That's my, what do you call it? Unit. I forgot. I'm not 3D expert here. Identity unit or whatever. Yeah, whatever. I'm sending that in. And here's my mesh, my Suzanne mesh that I've already loaded. It's already on the GPU. Oh, here's a cube as well. Let's see if we could. Well, I don't think I can load the cube because I commented. It's not going to work because it's commented, right? I commented out all the cube. Yeah, it's not even there. And it's complaining PR mesh is null. That's the cube mesh. Up here, this is the cube. I just put it in, this was me just learning. Basically, this is old code from several projects back, but I pulled it in here just to convert it. And I was just disabled the 3D stuff and got the 2D work. And I was like, now that's good. Now I'm going to pull my real game in, convert that over, I end up with a whole bunch of different versions of things. But you can see that, in fact, I can load a 3D thing from Blender and display it and move around it and stuff like that. But I haven't put that much energy into it. So like at a later date, that will be a thing. I could also do like a toon shader on it and stuff like that. Pretty basic stuff. My screen is flickering again. So I'm probably going to figure out OBS or figure out how to do FFmpeg in Wayland because X11 does not like my hardware. So my graphics card freaks out with X11 unless I get the right boot parameters, and I can't remember what they were. So yeah. So I'm probably going to have to figure out OBS or something. Yeah, my screen. But anyway, yeah, I'll be back on maybe later or something, and I'll probably just be doing boring coding of the string view stuff with my shell game. Just going through all of that, converting it over to make that run on there. Learning what I need to add about the string view. I'll probably come back at some point and figure out this mouse thing so then I can have my 3D back. But I will have to go back through and make that object. It's a I think it's an OBJ file, an object file that I use from Blender, just like the plain text version of Suzanne. And it's just the simple mesh loader. It's not doing materials. So that's probably not going to be anytime soon. I would like to make a game, make stuff work on Steam as quick as possible, make 2D stuff, and then 3D. Yeah. But I did a lot of work on setting up like a CPU for the game I want to make, or the games I want to make. Several different ideas, or one big idea, however depending you think about it, is going to be dealing with programming inside the game. The game will be programming inside the game. So kind of like, I don't know, I'm going to end up with smaller versions. So I'll probably end up with a very early version that is either like, what do you call it? Lunar defense or something like that. Lunar, not like lunar lander, but like something where you need to send things out to bring stuff back to you. And like maybe initially in the very thing, you can actually control it with the controller, but like it has a range. So then you need to program it to be autonomous, and it'll be like stages, very simple thing, very more complicated. And then I can go lots of places with that. I can go into like avoidance of being shot down and hacking into other systems, other things like that, where the other systems are also real 6502s running, real CPUs running. So that will be pretty interesting. But what I really want to do is to make that space game that I made a video about a long time ago, and I want to integrate those ideas into that and have that either be 2D or 3D. If it's 3D, it'll still look 2D. It'll just be a 3D engine. Um, yeah, I'm not sure. But yeah, I definitely want to go that way. And I want to get something on Steam, and then I want to make a video series just explaining all of it. Just going from nothing to making a window, making windows different for different systems or whatever, making render and all the stuff and this everything that you need to do to get all the way up from nothing in C and using very minimal libraries. Like maybe you have to use OpenAL, but like I'm not using an image loader, I'm not using a mesh loader. I'm not, like the only libraries I'm using is whatever the system is, whatever for Wayland or X11 or XEB, whatever the internal functions for OpenGL, but not even a loader. I'm not using an OpenGL loader. No mesh loader, no texture loader, no image loader. I'm not using any of that stuff. And yeah, so to explain all that stuff from basics and going up to making like some kind of simple like demo thing for Steam. Like so I need to be able to get Steam inputs and stuff like that, but I don't think that's too bad. I think that you can get like C interfaces for those. Yeah. So anyway, so I did a lot of like today. I didn't show a lot of code, but I'm heavily coding every day and kind of doing some of the stuff that you just saw me doing, where I was trying to figure something out or convert something over. But some of the times it's like when I'm trying to do a new thing for the first time, it takes a lot of thought process. And when you've done it a couple times, the next time you have a similar thing, you kind of know what direction to go with it. So a lot of these things about dealing with strings and string views and stuff like that is going to be very helpful when I start really leaning, because I've played around several times already with lexers, parsers, languages, little bits, little sticking my toe in, doing different things. And I definitely need that stuff for what I want to do. Because I want you to be able to write in the game the code and then it does the thing, but it's a game. And like if you had a little spaceship and stuff, your systems on your ship can also be code that you could either find or write or edit or whatever. So yeah, lots of ideas about that. But I everything needs to come together. So you kind of seeing me at like 70% there or 80% or whatever, where it's missing certain things. Like I'm definitely missing the mouse capture. Oh, well, that's actually for 3D. I do want a camera in the 2D, so you can kind of shake camera, do things like that. Um, I have done very tiny bit with the OpenAL, like basically just doing sound effects, not checking to see if a song is playing or if it's not playing. So I need to add some functions there just to kind of like interface with it better. That's why there wasn't background music playing in those things. But yeah, if I add background music, and I want to make some I am GUI interface style stuff too, some basic things for myself. Basically, I'm at where I was already at. So I can take most of my projects that I've already written in C and I can just dump them right on my thing. A lot of them have very little that needs to change too. Like you're seeing that shell game, that's like several, it's like 100,000 lines of code or something. I don't know what that is. It's pretty large. But those other simpler games, you can just like in a couple minutes, you're just changing some function names and a couple things are changed the way they do things, but it's not that complicated. Anyway, I'm gonna eat, and maybe I'll come back later and not yap so much and just be coding because I do want to get some coding done, but it would be nice to be able to stream while I'm doing some of it too, I guess. So I'm generally actually just sitting writing, and a lot of times I just watch old movies while I'm coding. So, but I can't stream that. So, but it'd be it's kind of if I could show my screen, basically I'm. Does that show it? No. Yeah. So I'm just in KD right now, but like the top, I'm using a TV, and the top left corner of the TV is what you can see. And below that, I just have the window that running the FFmpeg. And then to the right, I have two windows that show me the YouTube and the Twitch. Because when I used to stream before, just straight off the laptop, if somebody was asking me a question in YouTube or Twitch, I wouldn't even see it. So I wouldn't know if anybody was asking, which wasn't very helpful if anybody actually had a question. But yeah, so I'll probably be trying to figure out OBS and get back into Wayland because although I complain about Wayland a lot, X11 is deprecated and not on my system, it's not supported correctly. So that's a problem because it's old and because it's old tech and old style and it has all of its problems as well. But the biggest problem is because my GPU is newer, it's not supported correctly and nobody's going to write the code to support it correctly. So it's kind of like, well, that's done. So that means I got to figure out how to do things in Wayland for like, I don't know if it's OBS or something else because I don't know how to stream multiple places at once in OBS. I was just writing. I'm just streaming like from FFmpeg directly. So this is just me streaming, you know, FFmpeg. And so I'll be switching all that around. All right. So yeah, I'm gonna eat, and I'll probably be back later, and I'll probably be doing boring stuff. I don't want to. I want to since I have already done so much work in Shell Game, um, and I already have it on. Like people can already use it in SDL too if they wanted. It's might as well just port it over and get it working because it would be kind of funny to release a game on Steam that was just like Bash, just a game in Bash called Bash. Call it Bash. Release it on Steam and it's written in Bash. Why not? Just for fun. But it's not going to be like a main future project that I'm doing. You know, like it's not my goal, my end goal, but it would be a funny in between. You know. Anyway, I'm gonna quit and I'm gonna go eat. So thanks for watching. I hope anybody enjoyed this, or if you have any questions, just let me know. Next time I'll be actually writing more code, though, and probably not explaining, everything I've done already. Anyway, thank